Is anyone getting tired yet?
I'm never tired of Hearthstone cards.
I love Hearthstone cards, but damn, we've done this for 5.5 hours. Akali, the Rhino. 8 mana 5/5 rush. Overkill, draw rush minion from your deck, give it +5/+5. If this card always reads 8 mana 5/5 rush, kill something, draw a 8/7 Zilliax from your deck, I'd tell you the card's busted. Because it doesn't. Because there's other rushes you'd probably play, this card gets slightly worse. But I think this, even though I think this is a powerful card, I have a feeling there's absolutely no home for it because Odd Warrior is still a good deck. Quest Warrior doesn't want this. Dragon Warrior doesn't have room. So I have a feeling this is a good card with no home. So I'm gonna rate it 5 stars because drawing a Zilliax is absolutely insane. But I have a feeling this card doesn't get you enough tempo back as well sometimes, so yeah, I'll give it 5.
Yeah, playing an 8 mana 5/5 is really hard. That's the biggest problem with this card is like its stats are a little too small to guarantee value out of it. And it costs too much to consistently be able to play another card to make it overkill. So this card might just not do anything sometimes, and that feels really, really bad. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty powerful effect. Its connection with the spirit is also pretty bonkers.
Yes. But that card
So
is also bonkers.
I'm gonna give Akali a 7 because it has a tremendous amount of potential. There's a lot of good rush minions in Warrior. I think the 1/3/1 it would be good with this. I think the 3/3 for 3 would be good with this. The 2/5 for 4 that gets +3 attack would be good with this. There's Crowley would be good with this. There's just a lot of good rush minions in Warrior, so I think it can make it work if it can consistently overkill a minion with this, and that's going to be the hard part.
Yeah, my thoughts on this card: 8 mana 5/5, already understated. Rush hardly makes up for that at 8 mana. It has a condition to even get the effect on the card, which is that it overkills something, and then I can give a rush minion in my deck, +5/+5, and draw it. I think this card is super clunky, really, really slow. And the first half of the card is not good enough. I think, like, if this card was like, I don't know how big this card has to be for me to play an 8 mana XX rush that gets me another card out of my deck, but
6/6 for me.
yeah, it's just not quite there yet. And the rush minions you could be drawing, I think, are none of them are going to be game ending. If you give them +5/+5, they're just going to be like a big dude. And I kind of feel like where Warrior's at right now, it doesn't want to play big dudes. So I want to rate this card probably like 6 out of 10. It clearly has a lot of power behind it, but it's so incredibly slow that I don't think it fits into any decks right now. Maybe we get some more impactful rushes at some point in the future. It can be, maybe there's some sort of combo that's just insanely busted with it, but for now, it doesn't seem very impactful.
Alright. Warmaster Vone. 4 mana 4/3, Battle Cry, copy all dragons in your hand. I've been really struggling to evaluate this card. So it's an understated minion. Its battle cry doesn't affect the board, it just generates more value. So in the matchups that you need to play through the board, it's bad. In the matchups that you need to grind, it's very good. And we have a 2 mana spell we're going to talk about that draws you dragons so you can curve into this. I think this card is probably a 6 out of 10. And I say it's a 6 out of 10 because I think you play it in Dragon Warrior, but I think there's a lot of games you're really not happy to draw it, which is why it actually just, it may end up being a card that eventually gets cut, but it might need the value to end game, so I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to go 6 out of 10. I'm really curious what you guys think because I've struggled with this one.
So the synergy of the Dragon Warrior, very value based. It's not quite a control deck, but man, it goes to late game. And cards with Dragon, like you said, with Dragon Ward to get other dragons in the hand. I don't think you need to copy an insane amount of dragons to make this card good.
You need one. honestly.
I think you need 2. 2 makes it really good. 1 makes it.
I'm in the 2 camp personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a spell that draws you 2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like, it's definitely not hard to do with this guy. I also think a 4-mana 4/3 that draws you 2 cards. Like, I would be fine with that, especially when those cards are like rando good dragons, right? Dragon's good enough that I'm playing them. So I think this card's a really. I love this card because it's a slight tempo loss, but a good gain in terms of card value. This reminds me a lot of like Minstrel, but without having a combo requirement. It just kind of does the thing, and it has better stats. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 because I think it's really high value, and it's gonna be hard for Warrior not to get good value out of it.
Yeah, I was hoping you actually wouldn't say minstrel, so I'd have something to say. My 2 points were that this card is just like Elven Minstrel, but +1/+1. It doesn't have combo, and because I compare it to Elven Minstrel because I think this card needs to copy 2 cards to actually be worth a slot in my deck. At 1, I don't think I'd play this card. But as we said, I'm just gonna have to mention the card again because going to be relevant later. Dragon Roar. It's 2 mana, draw 2 dragons. The fact that you have that combined with the fact that you're already playing dragons in your deck is not going to be very hard to copy 2 dragons with this card. It's often going to copy 3 to 4, I think.
Yep.
And that's super powerful on a 4 mana 4/3. I would play that card in a heartbeat. So this is obviously a card that's going to go directly into a specific archetype. So it's not playable across all the warrior decks. But I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it's just that much value in that specific. It's really, really powerful, I think.
You said 8?
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. I think this card's really, really good.
Man, we're getting at the point where I have to scroll quite a while. Alright. Soul Thralls. 6 mana 4/4 overkill, you may attack again. It's a decent weapon. Overkill is powerful, so if it deals 3 or less, you get to go again. So sometimes you machine gun someone's board. It's kind of like, what was the card? Is it Howlfiend? Fool's Bane.
Fool's Bane, yeah.
Yeah. Fool's Bane was a card that didn't see a lot of play because of the other good weapons around it, not because it was bad.
Yeah.
Like Fatigue Warrior played it, was very happy about it. So I compare this card to that, and I think Fool's Bane was probably slightly better. Not only because mana, but because like you could just take 12 and kill a Dread Infernal type of thing. But okay, I think this card is okay. It's better than some of the current weapons we've seen, but there's also some bad weapons. The fact that it's even really hurts the card though, because the deck that wants this right now is either Odd or Deadman's. So Deadman's doesn't care. It's probably fine in Deadman's, but even really, or Odd really can't play this card for a few reasons, you know? So I'm going to rate this a 5. I think the card is powerful, but not that powerful. That I don't go out of my way too much for it. And yeah, I'm not sure if this card's actually going to see play.
I think it's going to see play as long as Dragon Warrior is a thing. I think Dragon Warrior.
Why does Dragon Warrior want it?
Because it's 16 damage for 6 mana.
Okay.
That's really good. Like, that's just super good. Like, the I will say, like, comparing it to Fool's Bane is really good because it's a very similar strategy. The difference is although the overkill makes it so that it doesn't always do the thing of attacking multiple times, the difference is we're seeing an increase of 1 mana. We get 4 more damage, and it can go face. So removing the attack condition plus being able to get 4 more damage out of it for 1 more mana makes it a really efficient cost weapon. And I think there's a good chance that like I take turns as Dragon Warrior where I go, kill the 3/3, deal 4 to your face. And just tempo. It's just a tempo card. Like I feel like I'll be playing this like a Doomhammer a lot. And just like smacking a minion, then getting an extra blow, and then I have a 4/2 weapon. Like, I'm not going to clear the board with this in one shot very often, but I'll probably get 2 attacks over 2 turns a lot. So I'm going to give this card a 7 because I think it's going to see play, but it's not going to see in play in any of the warrior archetypes that we're familiar with. So
The only thing I had to add about this card was it is incredibly close in stat line and cost to Doomhammer. Doomhammer was 5 mana with 2 overloads, so it's technically 7 mana, and it's a 2/8 Wind Fury weapon, which means it can attack twice, and it had, the same amount of damage overall. It was a total of 16 damage. So obviously, Doomhammer has a little bit more synergy with anything that buffs it because of the Wind Fury mechanic. But this basically does as well, right? Because if you were to buff this with anything, it might as well have Wind Fury because it'll be able to attack. But it
how
can
good is
attack
that
more
weapon
than
of 5/5?
Yeah, right.
Very.
Holy cow. Upgrade exists, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Captain Greenskin.
I think I'm gonna rate this card 6 out of 10. It's really, really slow and kind of hard to justify taking 10 to 15 damage, however much you're gonna take when you go off with the thing. But I think there is a warrior deck that wants it just because of how high value it is. And it also does generate a decent amount of tempo. I'd say if you kill 2 dudes with this weapon in one turn, even if it's overkill one and then exactly kill another, that's pretty solid turn 6, I think. And you still have the weapon left over afterwards. If you have the life to justify it, the card's pretty high value. So I'll give it a 6.
Okay, our next card. Smolder Thrower Lancer. 3 mana, 3/2, Battlecraft, you're holding a dragon, destroy a damage minion. Before I evaluate this, I want to mention that there's a 5 mana dragon in neutral that deals 1 to everything. So you can combo these two. I think this card is really good in the dragon deck. It's Execute, except it comes with a body for 1 more mana, and if this card didn't exist, that deck might play Execute. So I think this card's just great. It's a medium body, sure. It's, it's understated, but the effect is so good that, yeah, I'm interested in playing lots of this card in dragons. So 8 out of 10.
All the things you said. 8 out of 10. Really good value. You not quite good enough that you ever want to play it as a tempo drop. If it was, I would give it a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
So this does kind of need to be working with something else, usually, like you mentioned, the dragon that whirlwinds the board. But it's still a crazy high tempo play. Super good in a dragon focus. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Love it. Love Dragon Warrior. Can't wait to play it.
Yeah. What did you rate this card?
8.
I personally am going to rate this card at 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
I think this card is absolutely ridiculous.
JT going with the Price is Right strategy against
Dude,
him.
this card is freaking crazy, man. I just cannot. If Execute is worth 2 mana, and we know that it is because
And it's playable.
It's too powerful at 1 mana. We know this, based on the fact it's no longer 1 mana. And because that limited in design space, Odd Warrior cannot have that card. It is oddly costed, so I don't think it's going to slot into an Odd Warrior deck, though it could. You could technically try and make...
You could make dragons. There's a fair few goodies.
Because I was going to say the good dragon that Warrior got in this expansion is actually odd costed as well. This card is, you're paying 1 mana for the 3/2. Which is already good tempo. This card does everything Warrior wants. You kill something. You straight up kill something. But you get a 3/2 to contest board out of the deal as well. And it's only 3 mana. So I think this card's absolutely bonkers powerful.
Okay, our next card, which I actually haven't seen this card. Summon a random minion with cost equal to your armor, up to 10.
It's Geosculptor Yips effect on a spell.
Yeah, so Geo is a 4/8, right?
Yeah.
And it's also happens multiple times, yes. I think this card is bad because it costs an even amount of mana. If it was odd, I'd probably consider playing it in Odd Warrior as a decent card. Because it's even, I just think this card's crap.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare times where this would have been a higher rating card.
If it costs 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. These cards, 2 stars.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 4 because it's still okay. Like if a non-odd warrior control deck exists, like this is a really good card in it. I don't know if that'll ever exist. That's why it's staying a 4. But I think the card is fair and it's good value if you can play a control warrior that's not odd. I'd also ask why, but you know.
Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, true. All right.
Yeah,
There
of
you go.
course, Deadman's might want to. But Deadman's probably wants to make an assembly instead.
Instead?
I don't think you want both. The deck has like very few slots.
Oh. Yeah, this card I'm not super impressed with. It obviously would be a lot more powerful in Odd Warrior. It would always summon a 10.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to rate it 5 out of 10 because 6 mana to summon a random 10 drop is still really powerful. Spiteful comes to mind.
I just think it's hard to get there.
Oh yeah, it's just really hard to get to the 10 armor if you're not in Odd Warrior. I mean, you have Shield Block. We have the next card we're about to talk about. Yeah, I think it's not that bad. 5 out of 10.
Ember Scale Drake. 5 out of 5/5 dragon. Battlecry if you're holding a dragon, gain 5 armor. 9-star card. Insane way. It's like Shield Maiden, and Shield Maiden like held together Control Warrior for a very long time. This synergizes with Shield Slam, obviously. It's a good dragon, it's good stats. The Battlecry is solid. I really can't find something to bitch about. It's just not 10 stars because I don't want to name 2 more. I don't want to name 3 warrior cards that are 10 stars because that might be coming up. Yeah, I just think this card's great. I can't complain. Maybe it's just a 10-star card. I can't find a thing to bitch about.
Yeah, you know, I don't think it's quite 10 stars because I don't think every.
It's not an all-star.
Warrior. Yeah, every warrior deck doesn't want it, right? That's where I keep myself from 10 on this. I'm also going to give it a 9. It's actually better than Shield Maiden because Shield Maiden was a 6-drop, right?
Yeah,
Yes, Shield Maiden was.
Dragon. Like this card is really powerful when you put it next to Shield Maiden.
Like 6 on turn 6, you can play a 5/5 and deal 5 damage to a minion.
You can coin this thing out, dude. That's
like,
insane.
It's so good. It's like, it's bonkers good to me. I'm really surprised they printed this card. This card says that Dragon Warrior runs Shield Slam all day.
Shocker.
Yeah, right? But it's so good. Like, without this card, I don't think you would because your hero power is bad and you don't want to be hero powering that often. You want to play on curve. Like, this card makes me actually want to run Shield Slam, which is amazing because this is such a tempo deck. But yeah, amazing. 9 stars, I suppose. I kind of wish it was, if it didn't require a dragon, it would be 10 and probably a 12, and every warrior would play it. So.
Oh god, yeah. You guys covered it pretty well. We put this thing next to Shield Maiden. It's 1 mana less and has dragon synergy. It synergizes with the other one. Copy it with the new legendary. Like, I think this card has to be a 9 because it's already extremely well statted for what it does. It's basically a 5 mana 5/5 that gains you 5, but you have the added bonus that you can go above 30. It enables Shield Slam and Reckless Flurry, and it has Dragon Synergy, and it's a 5 mana 5/5. Like, it's just insane. It's really, really, really core. I don't want to say it's like broken, but it's core to the deck. I don't think the deck could exist. Card. Like, I don't think there's enough dragons to make me play Dragon Warrior without this card, and this card is just exactly what they need to make it a viable archetype.
Also, some of my favorite art of the set. That dragon looks amazing.
Yeah.
He looks pretty pissed off.
Well, how about we talk about something that's really pissed off because rhinos are always pissed. 1 mana, 0/3, Spirit of the Rhino, stealth for a turn. Your rush minions are immune the turn they are summoned. Before we evaluate this card, I'd like to point something out. Immune the turn they summon means things more than just play a 3/3 with rush and hit something. because what it also means is Dr. Boom. Dr. Boom gives things rush. They technically have rush, which means all the mechs are immune the turn they enter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how relevant that is, but I'm just telling you how good this card is. This is a 10-star card. It enables an entire archetype, which is Rush Warrior, which has a lot of good cards already, but it got behind sometimes in tempo, so this is a huge way to fix that. I think this card's just nutty. I would rate this higher than 10 if I could.
I can't believe it's 1 mana. Like, this would be a 10-star card to me
At
3
3.
mana. Maybe
At
even 3.
Maybe
yeah.
at 3.
Like, 1 mana? It's like crazy imbalanced to me. I actually think this card's OP.
I think this card's nerfable.
Yeah, like this card, I don't like. The question is how do you nerf it? You just make it cost more?
You make it cost more.
Yeah, like even if you make it cost more, it's like still stupid. Like
this could be the best card in the set. It might not have the tools around it, but it might be the best card.
Well, you know, I actually argue there's enough. There's
a lot of goodies.
Minions. Yeah, there's the 4 mana 2/5 that gains attack.
Yeah, there's the 3/3s.
There's this Rhino.
There's Ziliax.
Playing the same turn. There's Ziliax. Like, it's stupid good. Although it kind of doesn't matter for Ziliax.
Yes, it does. Divine Shield still matters.
It doesn't trigger the Divine Shield, so it keeps the Divine Shield, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card's insane. Every warrior should play it.
I think the rush package, like, you could easily play 4 or 5 rush minions now.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. Like, even Odd Warrior could consider running this just because they run Boom.
Yeah, Odd could try to rebuild a little bit, just bring back, like, the rush package, but then it's worse than fatigue, but you can figure that out.
Yeah, but it's also really busted in the mid game. So,
yeah.
I mean, hey. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Would play, will play.
I'm personally, honestly, not very impressed by this card. I'm gonna be totally honest.
Alright, you're off the team.
The most powerful card I can play this with is Darius Crowley, I think, which hits something and always gets bigger no matter how big it is. Okay. On the flip side, I had to put 2 copies of this 1 mana 0/3 in my deck, and I'm trying to think, like, I already put these 1 mana 0/3s in my deck. I already put what's it called? Ghoul Caller, the 1 mana 1/2 that draws you rush minions from your deck. Like, I understand this effect is extremely powerful, but as an archetype, I feel that Rush Warrior is extremely low value, and I don't think this card single-handedly makes it a winning archetype. So, me personally, I would rate this card at like 6 out of 10, because I actually don't think it's enough to make Rush Warrior viable. Do I think it's powerful? Absolutely. Card's powerful as can be. But with the current rush minions, I mean, I already said I really don't like the Rhino at all. And I don't think this card makes the Rhino suddenly way better either. It just guarantees the overkill. Gosh, I feel bad because you guys were like super all over this card. I really am not that impressed by this card, but I guess I'd be happy to be wrong.
The only thing I'll say that this card doesn't do is it doesn't beat, like, really, really slow decks, because this card doesn't, like, rush minions don't matter, but, like...
That's like half the format right now, though.
Yeah, but, you know, like, that's less the card's fault.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. That's not the card being bad, that's rush minions not winning the game.
Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, next card. Overlord's Whip. 3 mana 2/4, which is like a medium weapon. 2 attack on 3 is kind of bad. After you play a minion, deal 1 to it. I get the fact that this enables cards like Frothing Berserker, Amani Berserker, Grim Patron, Omega Wall. Like, I get it. The weapon is very medium. The effect doesn't really, like, we don't have the cards right now to make this really impactful. I'm gonna go with 3 stars because it could enable an archetype in the future, but right now I just think it's a bad card and a bad weapon.
I agree. Like, it's not great. I'm gonna go to 4 because Acolyte of Pain's a card, and yeah, Acolyte of Pain's a card, and this lets you activate it for 0 mana, which is kind of nice, and not spending a card. but like you said, there's not a lot of tools to really make it good. And if it had 3 attack and was better as an actual weapon, we could talk, but 2 isn't quite enough to deal with most things by that turn. So it's just kind of like you have to like double trade with your face and a minion to kill something a lot of the time by then.
If it was a 3-mana 3/4 weapon, I'd tell you that the card is 10 stars and busted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would either be a 3/3 or more mana. I don't think we'd ever get a 3/4. That'd be stupid.
Yeah.
I guess there's something to be said about having 4 durability, because like
Not on 2 attack at 3 mana.
yeah, I mean like like technically on stat wise, it's actually pretty good because
Yes.
you compare it to Assassin's Blade, and it's 1 less attack for 2 less mana.
Yeah.
So that's actually pretty reasonable. But the effect isn't always positive, and that's what really kills it. Like, if that effect was guaranteed always good, and minions weren't OP with 3 health all the time, I would love this card.
JT?
The only card that I see that's super decent with the 3-mana.
Alright, you cut out for me.
Yeah, me too.
You can't hear me right now?
Alright, try
Now I
again.
can. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, that's bizarre. The 2 biggest cards I think this card synergizes with, obviously, are Acolyte of Pain and the 3-mana 1/4 that has +3 attack when it's damaged. I don't actually know what the card's called, but it's a rush minion that gets +3 attack when it's damaged. So this is like a combo. Bam! You got a 3-mana 4/2 rush in Warrior. Now that you played this weapon on turn 3. So you have to play this 3-drop minion on turn 4 now. Yeah, I just don't think it's quite good enough. This is a card that has potential to be, like broken in the future. I don't know. It's kind of funny with Frothing Berserker, I guess. Like, I'm gonna give this card 4 out of 10 because most of the time its ability is actually going to be a downside. Otherwise, it's decently statted for the price. But it doesn't have a place right now.
Alright, Dragon's Roar. 2 mana, add 2 random dragons to your hand. The general consensus is this card is better than playing a big dragon because 2 random dragons often will already get you a random big dragon. So this card's value is through the roof. I'm gonna go for it. It's a 10. I think this is just like so busted in Dragon Warrior, and you can also hit things like Dustbreaker, which like if Warrior could play Dustbreaker, it would be nuts. And obviously it can't, but this card is just so powerful that yeah, I think this is a 10 out of 10. I think this card is going to see lots of play in Dragons, and I think it might see play in non-Dragon as well, potentially if there's a reason to play Control Warrior that's not Odd or Quest. So I think it's a very good card. I think it'll see lots of play, and yeah, I don't have a lot to say. It's just a very good card.
Yeah, I love this card. I think it's incredibly like insane. I don't want to say it's overpowered, but the value is through the roof. Like you said, big dragons are like the average dragon is really good. So you're likely to just get tons of value from this card. Think about that we played a 2-mana 1/3 that got us 1 dragon before. Now we
Yeah.
have a 2-mana spell that gets us double the dragons. Yeah, they're not Discover, but you know what? Good enough. The value's through the roof. Yeah, I'm giving it a 10. It's going to be played in Dragon Warrior, obviously, but I think other decks like other Control Warrior, I mean, even Dead Man's Hand, just a card that constantly generates things.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, amazing card. Love it.
Honestly, this card is the nuts. This is it.
Good talk.
Two mana, draw 2 dragons. Like, the dragons on average are extremely powerful right now. Like, none of them are just straight up bad. I think they're all pretty. I think they all are decently statted and all have decent effects. And this card is card advantage. It synergizes with the new legendary. It synergizes with anything that says if you're holding a dragon. Yeah, this card's the nuts. I'm gonna give it 10 stars.
I think that's our first agreed 10 stars, is it?
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely
I think
off
we
the
both.
chain.
I think all of us labeled Haunting Visions 10 stars.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Alright, Devastate. 1 mana, deal 4 to a damage minion, because Execute used to be really good. I think this is a solid card. I'm gonna rate it 7, because it's powerful. It might see play in Odd Warrior if they like potentially. I'm not sure it will, but I would say it's an option they have. And that's the case. I think the card is just like a solid, okay filler card. You know what? I'm actually gonna go down to a 6. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a 7 because it's going to opt. So like, if a minion's already damaged, this kills all minions that have 5 or less health.
Yeah.
For 1 mana, that's super, super good. Like, a lot of the time, besides giants, that's what Execute ended up doing anyway, was like 5 damage.
Yep.
4 to 5 damage. So like, it's in the range. It's a little more limited, which I think is a good thing. I'm gonna give it a 7 because I think it's a super high value card, especially when we were given a high value dragon with a whirlwind effect.
Oh yeah, honestly, this card is
You cut out.
again.
Yeah. Try again.
This card is really, really efficient for what it does. 4 damage for 1 mana is super efficient. Like, think of Cold Blood. But obviously, Cold Blood can oftentimes deal more than that. But the prime card this makes me think of is Eviscerate when I think of cards that deal really efficient damage.
Yeah.
2 mana for 4 damage is the gold standard, I feel like. And this is 1 mana for 4 damage. Now, it's conditional, but so is Eviscerate. And this is more along the lines of what Warrior wants anyway. It wants the extra removal. So I'm going to give this card, I think, probably a 7 out of 10. I don't think every Warrior deck is just going to go put this in their deck. But the decks that want it, it's going to be a really strong option, I feel like. Also notable that, you know, it synergizes with spell damage.
So, before we move into the neutral cards, I'd like to congratulate the 3 of us. We've been here for over 6 hours. We have gotten through 90 cards.
Go us.
So that's a rate of like a card every 3.6 minutes, which isn't actually terrible. They've given us a lot of cards that are worth talking about, so honestly, kudos to Blizzard.
Yeah.
Like, I did an Eternal set review, which is bigger than this, it was like 200 something, and I did it in like an hour by myself. And I did like well with the team in like 2.5, like it's not that bad. I do think we're gonna get to go through the neutrals quite fast.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, because I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, no, I think we'll crush these. At least like everything below epic for the most part.
Yeah, alright, let's just start with Hakkar.
Yeah.
1.
You want to say what it does?
Yeah, oh, right, sorry. 10 mana, 9/6, shuffle a Corrupted Blood in each player's deck. Death Rattle.
What does that Corrupted Blood do?
Does someone have the image? I don't have the text in front of me.
I believe it's a card that if you draw it, it deals 2 damage to you, and then you shuffle another copy of the blood in your, or 2 copies of the blood into your deck.
Yeah, do note that unlike some other cards, if you can't go, imagine there's 1 in your deck, you can't go and infinitely draw it and just die. What will happen is you'll draw the card, okay, you take your 2, then you draw a card from your deck again, and then this gets shuffled in.
Okay.
So 10 mana 9/6 with a death rattle that eventually kills one of you. And if you're playing 10 mana cards, I assume you're playing some sort of control deck, which means you probably have less cards than the opponent, which means in theory you die first. So I think this is a 1-star card.
Yeah, me too. Like, the only argument I've heard people play with this card is that, like, oh, you empty the deck, tog waggle, make them always draw blood, but like
That doesn't even work.
No, and like fatigue damage actually kills faster than that. So,
Yeah.
it's 1 star. But you know what? I said Azalina was a joke before, so watch this card.
Are
see how
you
we do.
serious?
Yeah, no. When they unveiled Azalina, I said that card was unplayable, and I'll own that. So
I think it's a hard card to understand.
it looked like incredibly bad. Now remember, when that card was revealed, the best deck at the time was Call to Arms Murloc Paladin.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't good then.
Yeah.
JT?
But yeah, 1 for me.
I'm not aware of any combo with this card. So I'm looking at a 10 mana 9/6 that, yeah, eventually kills one of us, which is left to fate, basically, depending on how many cards are left in each player's deck. Not a big fan. I'm going to rate this 2 out of 10.
Alright.
9/6.
Ondasta. 9 mana 7/7 with rush. Overkill some of the beasts from your hand. A lot of people say you put this in Death Rattle Hunter and you just add like maybe 1 more beast to the deck. And to those people, I think you're right. I think this card is nutty if you hit it off Katharina. It doesn't feel bad to cast, and often you get a beast stuck in your hand anyways. I think this card is extremely powerful. I think he's playing just Death Rattle Hunter right now. Although there could be a Druid deck, this is a neutral card. So this could go in Big Beast Druid at some point. If that deck ever becomes real. So, yeah, I think this is like an 8-star card and is seriously good.
I'm gonna give it a 9 because it can be played the same turn as the Warrior Spirit.
Although Warriors just don't have good beasts.
But they have this now.
They also have
it's
neutral
fun.
beasts.
Yeah. So like it's pretty. There's and plus the Rhino. The Rhino's a beast.
True.
So you like Undasta, rush something, kill it, pull Rhino, kill it, draw another rush minion.
You
Oh
win.
my god.
So like yeah, that's a little bit fairy tale, but like it has play in other decks, and it's absolutely going to be played by Death Rattle Hunter. So 9 out of 10 for me. Cool card, love it.
I'm in the 8 out of 10 camp. I think it's only going in 1 deck right now, but in that deck, straight nuts, which is Death Rattle Hunter. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me as well.
Alright, I don't want to wake people up here. Can someone please say this card as if you are a wrestling announcer?
The Undertaker.
What the hell? Oh my god.
I don't watch wrestling, but I know who the Undertaker.
I sure hope so. Like, seriously. It's like saying you don't watch, like, wrestling or movies and you don't know who The Rock is.
Federer? Like, I don't know.
What?
Tiger Woods.
Oh,
What?
I
yeah.
actually don't know who that Roger guy was.
I don't either.
Oh, he's the best tennis player in the world, and it's not close.
Cool.
Oh, that guy. I know who.
I still don't, honestly.
Okay, I've seen that.
Alright.
Cool.
8 mana,
People
8/5.
nobody plays tennis.
True, actually. 8 mana, 8/5. Battlecry gained the affected 3 friendly death remedies that died this game. So one thing to note is if you cube something, the death rattle of cube does nothing on this card. Just please remember that. You don't get 3 of whatever it was. The death rattle of cube is summoned 2 copies of it. That's it.
Yeah.
When it gets redefined at the cube card. So I think this card is really powerful. I could see it with like Devilsaur Egg. I could see it with some Priest card, or in just like Death Rattle Priest. The real answer is I think this is a powerful card that might find a home one day. Imagine playing, like, maybe my thought right now is if it's going to find a home, it finds a home in the Death Rattle Rogue deck, because can you imagine triggering the blade off this? Like, I think you win.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to rate this card a 7 out of 10 because I think it's a little bit speculative to rate it very high. But I think the Death Rattle Rogue wants this as a one-of. Obviously, it's a legendary, so it's a one-off. And I just think it's powerful. The question is, like, how many good Death Rattles are there we can combine with this? Do know we have cards like Play Dead.
Yeah. Like, you know, like I think it's interesting that this is another card that even though Cube can.
Oh, wait. Death Rattle Hunter.
Yeah.
You get Spider Bomb, Egg, Katharina, maybe some other stuff.
Savannah Highmane if you play it.
Yeah, that seems good.
Like it's just good value. Like it's interesting that I don't really think there's room in that deck to run Undertaker and Undasta.
Yeah.
I think those packages is where the deck kind of splits.
Yeah.
But I also still think it's a super good card. I'm gonna give it a 7 as well because I think if I had to choose between Undasta and that card, Undasta is more consistent, so I take that one. And it
Interesting.
provides a much more interesting high roll that kills them now. Because I Katharina into Undasta and kill something and pull Crush out of my hand and then they die. That seems good. So.
JT?
Yeah, this card's clearly extremely powerful. I don't know exactly which 3 Death Rattles I'm trying to hit with this thing. I'm thinking of like Devilsaur Egg, Mechano Egg in a Paladin list. I think you could play this just straight up in a like mid-range Hunter list where you just play Spider Bombs and Highmane, and you play this 8-drop that has those effects and maybe something else, and that's just really good. It would be a little bit different than Death Rattle Hunter, obviously.
You could play it if for some reason we decide that the version that cuts the Beast package in and plays like mechs, it could be good in that. Yeah, that seems good there. Because then your curve isn't as bad either. Because you don't want to play this Katharina, like Charge Devilsaur, Savannah Highmane, Rankstar, King Crush, and Undasa. Like you're not going to do that.
No. So I think I'm going to rate this card 7 out of 10. Doesn't have a home yet, but it's clearly powerful. And definitely a card that has room to get better as more cards come out. Because honestly, Death Rattles tend to be pretty powerful anyway. Having something stick on the board after like an AoE is just really good. And this guy gains 3 of them. So.
Alright.
Yeah.
I know this is Tyrant's favorite card in the set.
I love this card.
Mojo Master Sai. 6 mana 5/5. Battle Cry set each player's mana to 5 crystals. So I want to note this basically sets your opponent to 6 because they get the first mana crystal, and their turn they'll go to 6. I think this is a 9-star card. I think it's very good at giving decks that don't have ways to interact with like Shutterwalk or Malydred, their combos. It gives them a way to interact for a couple of turns. It just shuts all those combos down. And because of that, I think a lot of aggressive decks are actually going to want this. Like, I think Zoo is supposed to play this card. And I think this card is really powerful. I'm also surprised they ever made a card like this, but rest in peace, Druid. I'm kidding. They could beat this card, but, like, it's very interesting to play this as a way to, like, slow down Druid. So I think this card's awesome, and I expected to see not like shit tons of play, but it will see some play, especially in decks that have struggled with interacting with combo or like maybe people with bad Druid matchups.
So I adore this battle cry. This is like one of the coolest disruption abilities I've ever seen in a card game. It brings me back to a concept of balance. You know, like just a way to like put everyone to the same mana efficiency, but obviously I play this card, so I make it so that this hurts you a lot more than it hurts me. And it's such a cool way to not stone cold nuts stop a combo, but delay universally almost every combo. Because like way earlier in this recording, 14 hours ago or whenever we started, I noted that like most combo decks need at least 9 mana, and this card says you don't get to do that for 3 turns. And for decks like, I mean, if I don't know if there's room in it, but honestly, I even think like Death Rattle Hunter would consider this card super late game, because it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I have a giant board, but they're just going to like do the thing to my face next turn. So this gets you 3 turns and let the board just beat them. This has so many applications. Obviously, this is why we didn't see a nerf to Nourish yet. This is Blizzard's answer to give people a response to Druid high rolling you. I think it's also super cool that late game draw of mana ramp is now relevant with this card. Like getting your wild growth on turn 8 after they play this card feels way better. So I'm going to give this card a 9 because not every deck will play it, but most of mine probably will, except my Druid deck or any 4 of them. But
this card is I don't know where to start. This card is really, really powerful. Like, I'm trying to think of applications where control decks might actually run this card just so that they can get to a like favorable board position and then just nerf Druid on mana so they can't do anything. This keeps Shutterwalk off their combo for a while. Like, this card is like that sweet, sweet, sweet neutral 6-drop that we've been missing for so long from Hearthstone sets. We used to have, like, at the 5 to 6 cost, we had Loatheb initially, extremely powerful and extremely impactful on the format, and gave non-combo decks a way to interact. Later on, in a completely total opposite vein, we had Emperor Thaurissan, which was a completely meta-warping card that almost every deck played because it discounted your entire hand, which both enabled combo decks, but it was that 6-drop that was so powerful, it just had to be in every deck. And I think this is like as close as we're going to get to that. The decks that want this card, it's in every single one of those decks because they want a tempo ahead of Druid and then shut them off of Druid things. They can basically deny them the nuts. You can get to a pretty decent board state against Shutterwalk and then just all of a sudden blank their mana and there's nothing they can do. Every aggro deck on the planet wants to get ahead on board and then play this card later in the game and just hedge their position by their opponent not having enough mana to deal with it.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm going to rate this card 8 out of 10 because it's going to have a negative effect on some of the decks that play it when it's drawn. Like, there are going to be games where I draw this card and I'm not against Druid, and I'm just not going to play it. I can't play it as a 6-mana 5/5. I need 10 mana every turn for the rest of the game. But its power level is so high that I think it'll still see play in a vast majority of decks. So I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Extremely unique card.
Grifta, 4 mana, 4/5. Battlecry, discover 2 cards, give 1 to your opponent at random. This is so hard to evaluate, but because it's you pick 2 cards and then 50% of the time you get what you want, I think this is a meme. Because it's a meme, it gets a 2 out of 10 because it's a cool meme. But I can't see this card doing anything because it's so random, and sometimes you just give your opponent, like, I get it, sometimes you're playing Odd Rogue and you need exactly Flame Strike, so you get like Flame Strike and Murloc Tiny Fin, and then you get the Murloc Tiny Fin and are really sad. But I don't see this card being good and constructed. 2 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 1 for all the same reasons, besides the fact that when people play it against me, they'll always get what they want. And
Yeah.
So I never want to see this card. And I think it's not good. And I get that it's a super meme, and I'm glad Blizzard now, when they make fun cards, they don't make them competitively strong. So everyone that likes their memes, enjoy this 1-star card.
I think personally that this card it has to be at least a 2 out of 10. I personally am super duper opposed to any card ever that gives my opponent cards. Like, I think Tangle for Mystic is a terrible card for that reason. And In a similar vein, Tangle is a 3-mana 3/4 where each player gets a card. This is 4-mana 4/5 where each player gets a card. So it's very similar. The only thing I'll say about this card is there's a slight amount of skill involved with whoever's picking the cards, because like you could potentially get offered 3 cards, and you could just pick the 2 best cards for you, knowing that they are not as good for your opponent, and that's advantageous, I think. But it doesn't change the fact that you gave your opponent a card, and we don't do that around here. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote this card 2 out of 10.
Yeah, when you anything that says you and the other player both get the same thing in theory,
It's
but
never.
since you spent
never
mana
works
so
out.
they get to react with it first, it's immediately bad because it's better for them on average.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, not a fan.
For those of you who played the card game Eternal, which if you don't know, it's Magic. Basically, there's a mechanic called Nightfall, and it's if I have a Nightfall card, at the start of each player's next turn, so it'll have 1 turn cycle. They draw an extra card and take 1 damage. The problem is your opponent gets it first, so for any card in Eternal with Nightfall to be good, they have to be on like a really, really pushed creature. Like, there's a 4-mana 5/5 that has lifesteal and an ability that, like, we don't have trample in this game, right?
In Hearthstone?
Yeah.
No, our closest is Overkill.
Okay,
Like
it basically, if it deals any damage higher than the health, it'll deal that damage to the enemy hero. And like you need it to be like that pushed for Nightfall to be okay. And that's the thing, you need really pushed cards if you're gonna help your opponent.
Yeah.
Crowd Roaster, 7 mana 7/4, Battle Cry, deal 7 to an enemy minion if you're controlling a dragon. Or sorry, if you're holding a dragon.
Yeah.
I think this card is good in dragon decks. I like 7 mana 7/4s that kill something, and that's what this reads. That's it. It's a 7-star card.
That's my rating. If it was a little bigger in the butt, it would have been a lot higher. Because 4 is kind of weak in this format, but it's still 7 damage is almost always going to kill a minion. That kills like 90% of things in the game right now. So 7 mana 7/4 that kills a thing when I play it is good. So 7 stars, good value.
I think I'm also gonna rate it 7 out of 10. The only downside I see to this card is that it doesn't kill giants.
Yeah.
And aside from that, 7 mana for a 7/4 that kills pretty much every other minion in the format is extremely strong in my opinion. So.
Alright, everyone ready to go fast?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright.
The bounty's coming in.
Line Cracker, 1 star in my opinion. It's an arena card. It's poor stats for constructed, and even if it overkills, like it would take too much work to make this card actually a high value. Even if you overkill, you'd have to give it like Wind Fury to make any value, and then you're burning multiple cards.
So what's the rating you gave it?
1.
Oh, 1. Wow. I give it a 4 because I think it's actually pretty well statted, and 10 is a lot. That's a big butt. And if you discover this off anything, I think
It's
you're
good
okay
discover.
with that. And the overkill is actually really insane. 2 kills makes this like an OTK minion. So like I don't know, like it's really scary. It could be a minion that gets good, but you'll never put it in your deck naturally. So
I'm gonna vote 3 out of 10. Extremely underwhelming stats for the cost. Overkill is not super relevant. Constructed completely unplayable. Arena mate.
Mosh Ogre Announcer, 5 mana 6/4. Enemies attacking this have a 50% chance to attack someone else. Someone else, by the way, is like you can't attack your own hero, right? Or is this how does this work?
Enemies attacking this have a 50% chance to attack someone else. The enemy could attack your figure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like misdirection, I think.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think this is a 2 out of 10. It's like a medium body for 2018 Hearthstone. The effect is very, very, very medium. It's actually often a downside. So actually, I'm gonna go 1 out of 10. I just don't ever see this card seeing any play.
Yeah, if I ever have this on the board, I hope it 50 cents hits my face because I deserve it. 2 out of 10. Bad card, don't play it.
I'm gonna go with 1 out of 10. Completely unplayable in any format.
All right. 5 mana, or Snapjaw Shell Fighter, 5 mana, 3/8. Whenever an adjacent minion takes damage, this minion takes it instead. So this requires me to already be ahead, and if I'm ahead, it doesn't do a lot. It just puts a 3/8 in play. I just don't see any applications for this. Like, you could put it in play with, like, 2 Vicious Fledglings, but then you're probably already winning. I feel like this card's so win more that 1 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this a. I think it's better than a 1. I'm gonna give it a 2. Like I think it's fine. Like for what it is. It's a 5 mana 3/8, which is actually pretty okay stats, considering like a 4/6 is the norm. And it has pseudo taunt and protects your value minions. It's fine. Actually, you know what? I take back what I said. It's a 3. It's fine. It's just not something I'll put in my deck. Again, cool discover card.
Yeah, 5 mana 3/8 that absorbs damage for one of your dudes. I mean, unless one of your dudes is like enabling a combo, I don't see it very good. Stat line's not very good for 5 mana. I'm gonna vote this card 2 out of 8. Or I'm sorry, 2 out of 10. It's I don't think we'll see play in anything.
Ice Cream Peddler, 4 mana, 3/5. Battlecraft, you control a frozen minion, gain 8 armor. So it's a 4 mana 3/5, but no text, because it's so hard to trigger this. Do
you not play that the 3 mana?
The 4/4? The 4/4? No, I don't. Not very often.
No, not the what's the shaman spell that freezes it and gives it +3/+3?
No, I don't play that either.
You don't play that card?
No.
Oh,
I think
this is a 1.
All right, 1 card, 1 stop.
1 for me too.
I'm gonna give this card a 2 because it's an okay stat line for what it is. It's a 4 mana 3/5. It's not that
You think
bad.
a 4 mana 3/5 is better than a 5 mana 3/8?
Dude, I mean, I understand when you put this next to Water Elemental, it looks really, really bad. Like, at the very least, I can disenchant it for 100 dust, you know?
Okay. Untamed Beastmaster. 3 mana, 3/4. Whenever you draw a beast, give it +2/+2. So it's a decent stat, it's Spider Tank. And the effect is whenever you draw a beast, make it bigger. So for you to get value, you actually have to draw. It has to at least survive a turn, and then you have to draw a beast. I think this card's okay. I think it's like a 4-star card. I don't expect any sort of beast deck though to want to play this over any of its other 3-drops. But it's like a standalone card without looking at other cards around it is like it's an okay card. It's a 3/3/4 with upside that can be very impactful.
Yeah, it's a good upside.
So, yeah.
You said 4, right?
Yep.
I'm also going to say 4. Like, there's not much downside to this card.
No, there's not.
I kind of wish they didn't put that master. I wish they didn't push a 100% all beast deck.
Because this would be okay.
I kind of want that in there. You know, this is actually kind of a cool minion to stick in there. Like, maybe you even play that because you play this in Master's Call, and even if you only get 1 minion, it becomes a 5/6 because you're technically drawing a card. So it's fine. I'm gonna give it 4. It's a good card actually. It's okay. I wouldn't say good.
I'll vote a 5. How about that?
Hot dog.
Man, no, I was scrolling up the page to look at Master's Call to make sure the text worked the way I thought it did. And then as you were saying it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it works exactly how. So yeah. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10 just because it has like nice synergy with the new draw spell that we got, which is probably like one of the first draw spells Hunter's gotten in quite a long time, honestly. If ever.
Yeah.
Hunter's really bad at drawing cards.
There's a problem. If you're gonna play that in your deck, you're gonna have more non-beasts in your deck, and Discover doesn't count as a draw.
Yeah, so, no, it says you draw it.
It says you draw.
Wait, you draw off Discover?
It says discover a card and draw it.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The text of the card
you're not making copies of
yeah.
Master's Card.
Okay.
You're pulling them directly from your deck.
I thought it made copies if you discovered and drew if you draw. Like, if you got 3.
No. Discover, yeah, I've been talking to somebody about that. That's been something that a lot of people have been misreading. Is like Discover is a way to choose cards. It's not the method, because anything that says make a copy with this cover says copy.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Alright, Mass Contender. 3 mana, 2/4. If you control a secret, play a secret from your deck. This card's okay. Problem is it requires you to already be ahead and have a secret. And if you don't have a secret, it's a shit card. But, you know, a shit body.
Yeah.
Truthfully, even though it's probably good if you, like, coin Curator Secret, turn 3, Mass Contender, play the other secret in your Tempo Mage deck, that's pretty good. But reality, I think this card is like 2 stars. I don't see it seeing play.
same here. I'd give it 1 if it didn't have a total upside battle cry, but yeah, 2.
Wow, you guys rated this card a 2, dude.
Yeah.
And what did you rate it, JHP?
2.
2. I'm gonna rate this card a 4. As somebody who played a lot with Mad Scientist people. Obviously, it's a really. I understand they're not even remotely close. But specifically, this card looks good in the Hunter's Secret curve of 2 mana secret into 3 mana 2/4 secret. That is not very unrealistic at all.
That's perfectly doable.
You set that up with a Snake Trap, right? They literally can't proc it. The card's guaranteed to pull another secret deck. I think that's really good.
I didn't think about that.
It also says play, and I don't know if that is going to upgrade the Spellstone or not.
Yes, it does, and it would upgrade Secret Keeper as well, I believe.
Correct.
If that's the case, I want to move this card to a 5.
I'm going to move myself to a 4 because you sold me.
I agree. Yeah. I'll go to 4.
That's actually a pretty solid card.
It's only in the Hunter curve, right? This is added Mage and Paladin Secret are a joke.
Yeah, it's too slow for Mage, and Paladin Secrets suck too hard.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Mad Science, dude, Undertaker days, dude. They're dark times, man. Really dark times.
Alright. Darker Eye Trickster. So 3 mana, 3/4. Give each player a copy of a random card from their opponent's deck. So I kept misreading this card a bunch, and I thought it would give, basically, I would get a card from my opponent's deck, and they would also get a card from their own deck. Once I read it again, and it gives us both a card, that's really weird. And I think this card is, here's what I think. I think this card's unplayable in Standard, and I think it's amazing in Wild because Kingsbane's a problem there, but we don't evaluate Wild cards, so because of that, I think this card is like 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I think Drakari Trickster, if it didn't give a copy and it was like deck disruption, I think it would have been cool.
It would have been insane, dude.
Well, not insane because it's random, right? So like I get a random card from your deck and you get a random card from mine. So it'd be like a combo disruption tool.
Yeah.
But a combo deck couldn't run it because I could just like give you Shutterwalk.
Exactly.
So like I like that it was a little more restricted in that sense. Like you had to not care about the cards you gave them.
So it's good in aggro.
Yeah, it's okay in aggro or mid-range card. I'm gonna give it a but because it's copy and it doesn't do that, it's absolutely worthless. I give it a 2 because its stats are okay.
What if an aggro deck plays this? Because on average, your opponent's deck will have better cards than you at that point.
I still don't think an aggro deck wants this. I think there's better things to do on turn 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not super impressed with this card. Like, it's kind of a weird effect. It kind of tells my opponent the cards that are in my deck if they haven't already figured that out. I don't know how high the high rolls are. This card is obviously based on like the meta a little bit. If I actually want a card from my opponent's deck, most of the time I probably would much rather have a card that I put intentionally in my deck than a card from my opponent's deck, which means I would just put that card in my deck over this card. So I think, it's 3 mana, 3/4, so it's got the appropriate stat line. Probably 3 out of 10. It's pretty underwhelming, I think.
Alright. Gurbashi Offering. 1 mana, 0/2. At the start of your turn, destroys a gain 8 armor. -1 stars. Total nope. Get this off my screen, please.
If it was Death Rattle, it would have been super, super cool. Instead, it's horrible.
It'd still be terrible. In my opinion.
I think one mana Death Rattle is 0 to gain 8 armor.
Yeah, I wouldn't play that card. Doesn't contest the board at all.
In a certain deck.
Yeah, I could see that card being okay. Like that card would have been like a 3-star card, but this one isn't. So
That card would be 3-star because it gets you above 30, which certain
Yeah.
classes can't do.
Yeah. So are we all on one?
Minus D case, I mean.
Are we all talking 1-star?
1-star. This card's awful.
Arena
It's
Patron.
not even a mech, dude. There's nothing with this.
5 mana 3/3 overkill up with another Arena Patron. 1-star.
Lol.
Just 1-star. I don't like. It's just so bad value. It's so hard to overkill. It's so bad.
it's not good in arena. It's not good in constructed. It's not good at your kitchen table. 1.
I'm gonna hand buff this card, and then it's gonna be good. 2.
Shut
Like
up.
green.
Murloc Tasty Fin. 4 mana 3/2 death row. Draw 2 Murlocs from your deck.
Honestly, this is kind of an interesting.
4 stars because it's good to get off of the 3 mana 3/2 that discovers a Murloc.
Yeah.
I don't think I put it in a deck though, but it's really good off discover.
I'm gonna give it a 3 because I think it's okay off discover, but it's still a 4 mana 3/2 in a deck that doesn't pass decks very often. So I think that's a lot to ask for a deck that needs to play this or the dinosaur. So like when you compare the top of their curve to that card, this thing's pretty ugly. So I'm gonna give it a 3 because it's like sometimes kind of good when you're out of gas and get it from something else.
Yeah, I have this card at like 3 out of 10-ish on value. It's silenceable, but it does have the Murloc synergy. No, I'm gonna go 4 out of 10, dude. That is one happy Murloc. He is really stoked right now on whatever he's doing. But also, it's really good in the Discover pool. That was the main selling.
Yeah. Alright, 2 mana Fire Tree Witch Doctor, 2 mana 2/2. If you're holding a dragon, discover a spell. 5-star card. You're gonna play this in every dragon deck because it's good value, and that's as simple as that to me. It's not an all-star, but it's good enough.
Yeah, it's 5 stars for me because it can discover the warrior card that draws dragon, so that's stupid, and that makes it amazing.
Gosh.
So it's 5 because it has the potential to be OP.
And because of the way Discover works, there's a higher likelihood that you class cards.
Yeah.
So it's actually incredibly likely.
It's
to
actually
get
the
that.
only
So
spells you can get, dude. There's no neutral spells. Oh wait, it's discover a spell. It could discover anything.
But I think you can only discover a spell that's valid to you.
Yeah.
Like, I think you
So,
can
yeah,
warrior
this
some
is-
stuff, like get warrior ones and so forth.
Alright.
This is just really, really good. I might even rate this 6 out of 10. I'm gonna rate it 6 out of 10. It's really, really good.
Okay, Soup Fender. 2 mana 1/4. Whenever you restore 3 or more health to your hero, draw a card. Unplayable. It's an okay body. It's a 1-star card to me because you need to restore a pretty big amount of health to get any value, and the body is medium.
I'm gonna give it 2 because it draws cards, and draw cards is like inherently like makes something like potentially okay sometimes. So I'm gonna give it a 2 because it can draw cards, but its body sucks and its ability is awkward.
I'll rate this card 2 out of 10. I don't think it's very good. I don't think its effect is going to be relevant very often.
The cutest card in the set, Water Boy. 2 mana 2/1. Your next hero power this turn costs 0. So it's basically a free 2/1 that gets you a hero power.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 4-star card. No, it's a 5-star card. I think this card could see some play. I'm just not sure where. The costs that want a hero power the most are odd, and you can't play this there. And if it's even, it's actually a 1 mana 2/1 basically, which is like not good. I wouldn't play this in just like a deck with no upgraded hero power is the problem.
Yeah, same here. Like I'm actually gonna put that a 4 out of 10 because it's a somewhat good effect, but it like you said, it kind of like it's counterintuitive to where you would put it. If this was like a 2/2 for 3 or I don't know, a 1 mana 1/1 something like maybe.
Yeah.
But as a 2-drop with that stat line, 4 is the best I can do. But hero powers can be pretty stupid. So, like, I'm gonna give it a 4 because of that.
I think I'm gonna go with a 3. 2-mana 2/1's just not very good, and most of the hero powers, like unless it's an upgraded hero power, card is almost never going to be good for you. And even with an upgraded hero power, I'm not sure like the 2/1 body is worth a slot in my deck over just pressing the hero power button. The only deck that comes to mind to me maybe like some kind of OTK paladin, but again, like I could just press the button instead of pressing this card, so I'm not really sure what the advantages of playing this card might be. So I'm gonna give it.
Booty Bay Rookie, 2 mana 3/3, give your opponent a coin. I think this might be the worst card in the set. Giving your opponent a coin is such a big downside. Basically, you're giving your opponent a coin in exchange for 1 extra health on average, and that's such a shit rate. This is a 1-star card. If you ever put this in your deck, I'm sorry.
I'm giving it 2 stars because it's good with called arms.
Nice. I'm gonna give this card 2 stars because it is overstated. But this card has an awful downside.
Serpent Ward, 2 mana 0/2. At the end of your turn, deal 2 to the enemy hero. This card doesn't impact the board. It has a shitty body. And you could just play like Merkspark Elemental. I don't see a reason to play this card. 1 star.
I'm gonna give it 2 because of Totem Synergy.
I love you guys.
I don't know how relevant it is that it actually is I don't care enough to look. I don't see myself playing an O2 for 2 that ever does that, so 1 star.
I was actually totally in the boat of voting this 2 stars for being a totem. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, it's the first neutral totem ever, I think.
It is.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Alright.
sick. It's
Shield
iconic.
Breaker. 2 mana 2/1. Silence an enemy minion with taunt. So it's also known as Go Face.
Yep.
And in aggro decks, this card is basically Iron Beak. Almost every aggro deck just wants to silence taunts.
Yeah.
Because of that,
the aggro decks are odd.
yeah. So ignoring the odd factor for a second, I think this is a 5-star card. I do agree that the odd factor is a big deal. Also, the fact that Keleseth exists means like this card's not playable until Keleseth rotates. There's no way you'd play this over Keleseth. You're just wrong. So 5 stars, but you might see play post rotatos.
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be an okay card post rotation. This is the type of silence that aggro decks want. Like 80% of the time, silence is there to silence a taunt. So this is just like pre-nerf Iron Beak Owl for a lot of aggro decks. It's a shame. I'm sure it's not, like it wasn't by accident that they made this card even. So I think it's a 4 out of 10. It's a good effect later. Right now, it's underwhelming.
I'm gonna vote this card 6 out of 10 because I value silence extremely highly. Putting silence on a 2/1 for 2 mana is like I'm valuing the silence at more than 1 mana based on Iron Beak Owl. Now, granted, it's conditional, right? It's only on top minions, but I mean, the decks that want it, it's so freaking good. So I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10.
Alright, Belligerent Gnome. 2 mana 1/4 taunt. If your opponent has 2 or more minions, gain +1 attack. I think this is a 8-star card. It's insane against aggro. And if you're not playing Ogre Homunculus because of your class, I think this is an excellent card choice for you.
I agree. I think it's an 8 out of 10 as well. It's a super powerful card. It says no to so many decks. I love it. Really cool design. More of these, please.
This is the underdog coming in to contest Keleseth and knock him off the ballot, I think.
I think it's the best 2-drop in Standard that's not Keleseth.
Yeah, this, like...
Or Vulgar Homunculus, but that's...
The decks that want this card are, like, combo decks that need to start the opponent's early game that don't do that with mid-game Serenite Chain game, which a lot of decks do, So Kaliseth will be in those decks. The decks that don't are slamming this card in. This is like the best anti-aggro 2-drop we've had in years.
Mashogre Enforcer.
What was your
I'm
rating
sorry,
on
I
that?
didn't give a rating.
Oh, my
this card-
bad. And you cut out.
God, dude, I think it's a 9.
That's fair. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful.
Alright, Mashogre Enforcer. 8 mana to 14 Taunt Divine Shield. I see this card and the only thing that comes to my mind is the voice line. Let me change your mind.
Yeah, right?
I think this card is crap. The only thing I'm wondering is, can I put this in play early against aggro? And really the answer is no. Like, you could have it, you could like put it in your res pool as priest and then res it, but that's a lot of work. And a lot of high rolling.
Yeah.
So I don't see this card. You could just put Inner Fire on it, but it's like worse than other targets and it costs too much mana. I think this card's a 1-star card.
Yeah, I think it's a 1-2. Like, basically, what would
It
get
might
me
be
to a
okay to
2-star.
discover.
You know,
Eh,
if I thought it was okay to discover, I would give it a 2. I don't think it is. I think if this is in my pull off of like Stonehill Defender, I'm looking at 2 cards. So yeah, 1.
I'm gonna give this card 2 stars. I mean it's a 2/14. Like it's honestly gonna really stun any aggro deck ever. Not that that matters. The reason I give this card more than 1 star, pull it off of Master of card. That's the only reason. Literally the only reason.
I think I'd rather the 2/4 plus Sleepy Dragon personally.
I think you're right.
Okay. Amani Warbear. 7 mana 5/7. Rush Taunt. Beast. Like 2 stars. This card's stat lines are too bad for a 7-drop and constructed. Sorry, you're a cool card, but no.
I think it deserves more than a 2.
Yeah?
I think I'm gonna give it 4 actually because it's a good Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. It has taunt and it has rush, so it kills a minion. It's gonna stay alive and it's gonna eat more damage. So this card, at 7 mana, effectively will almost always do 10 damage and absorb at least 7. Maybe it's not 4. It's a 3. It's a 3. But it's definitely, this is a good card to get on Discover, I think. This is a very good Discover card, actually. Just off of like any random minion effect, like this is like a fine card. I would also be thrilled if I got this off of like summon a random minion effect, like heavy metal or the Astromancer.
Yeah.
All those cards, like this is a cool way to really really good minion to play. So I'm gonna give it 3.
I'm gonna give this card. I'm gonna give the card a 4. I could see this card being viable in some sort of big beast druid down the line when UI rotates, because this card is also a beast in addition to being a 5/7 rush taunt, which I think is okay. At 7 mana, it's kind of hard. Like at 6 mana, it'd be insane, be absolutely insane. So at 7 mana, it's pretty fair. And I think one of the only redeeming parts about this card is A, beast, and B, I'm looking specifically at putting it in like a beast druid where I'm already gonna have played wild growth and it's gonna come down a turn early. And in that world, this card's pretty good. I could draw this card and it could be a 5/14 rush taunt, right?
Yeah.
And that would be pretty good. But
Especially
other
on
than
turn
that,
5.
that's the only application I can think of for it.
Yeah.
Rabble Bouncer. 7 mana 2/7 taunt. Costs 1 less for each enemy minion. So if you play this on like turn 4, it's a 2/7 for 4 with taunt. Like that's okay against aggro, but nothing insane. And if you're against control, this card's abysmal. Because of that, I don't think it's good. This isn't as good as the 5 mana 4/5 that costs 2 less if your opponent has 3 or more minions. So yeah, I just think this card's bad. 2 stars. Because it's a cool effect.
So it could effectively be free. I'm gonna give it 2 because there are conditions where this minion is now good. So I'm going to give it 2. But in 90% of scenarios, this card's horrible. Sometimes Odd Paladin overextends, and you played a Stonehill Defender and got this for free, and that feels super good. But it doesn't even kill leveled up dudes. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2, because it has sometimes maybe good moments, but usually bad.
I think this is the... Go ahead.
Oh, what's up? I was going to say, I give this a 2. This is a nerf to any sort of evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, Dragon Moss Scorcher. 5 mana, 3/6 dragon, deal 1 to all enemy minions. Or all other minions. I think it's a snap 2 of and Dragon Warrior. It synergizes with the 3-drop we mentioned earlier, so I think it's like a 7 out of 10. It's very good in dragons.
I agree. It's a solid mid-range dragon that dragon decks will play, but no other deck will really look at it. 7 for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 7 as well. The stat line's not quite good enough to justify being any higher, but the effect is so strong. This just is the nuts against Odd Paladin. You don't have to waste one of your AoEs if you're running them. And it synergizes with Dragon Synergy. Easy 7.
Alright, Former Champ. 5 mana, 1/1, 7 of 5/5. So we have this in like 6 mana, and I believe we also have it in 4 mana and 7 mana. And
Yes.
I think they're all bad, and I know you can go, well, they're good with Evolve Shaman, but I don't think that's a good enough thing. I think this is like a 3-star card, and it only gets its stars because of Evolve, but I just think it's too weak.
Same.
I'm going to give it a 4 because technically it's more stats than the mana you're paying for it. I think a 6/6 for 5 is a lot better than a 7/7 for 6.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it a 4 because it's actually pretty okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a... yeah, the only redeeming qualities of this is that it's well statted for what it is, and synergizes with Evolve Synergy. I'm going to give it a 4. Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. Sightless Ranger. 5 mana, 3/4 rush. Overkill 7/2 1/1 bats. I think a lot of people have slept on this card. I think it's a 5-star card. I think it comes down and kills a lot of random things in the fight. It's specifically only good against aggro though, but like coming down and getting 5/6 worth of stats and killing a dude is pretty good. So yeah, I think it's a 5-star card. It's not a standout, but it might see a little bit of play, which is why I'm willing to put it so high. It might just never see any play though.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. My instinct is going to give it a 4, but I think it has more play potential than Former Champ, so I think it deserves a 5.
Oh, excuse me. I'm giving it a 4. I think it's off.
Nice.
It's gonna be hard to. If it was like, whenever it kills a minion, I'd be on board, but it's overkill.
Yeah.
Halftime Scavenger. 4 mana, 3/5 stealth. Overkill, gain 3 armor. Same argument as the last one to me. Is if it wasn't overkill, I think this card would be pretty good as an anti-aggro card. Because it's overkill, I'm gonna say this is 2 stars and just not gonna see any play. But if it was just if it kills something, gain 3, I'd say this is like a 5-star card.
I think minions are more relevant than armor usually, so I think this is far worse than the Ranger. Plus, it can't attack the turn it comes in, so they effectively attack the same turn, but one has a better overkill. So I'm going to give this card a 3. I don't think we'll see this play, and if Ranger sees play, Scavenger loses to it. So
yeah, I'm going 3 as well. It's okay stats for what it is. A 3 mana 4/5. I'm sorry, 4 mana 3/5. And if you gain 3 armor, that's nice, but honestly, not super impactful probably.
Okay. Arena Fanatic. 4 mana 2/3. Battlecry, give all your minions in your hand +1/+1. I think this card's body is too bad for this effect at the mana cost. We did have a 1 or 2 mana 1/1 that did this, and that was better because the deck had ways to come back. But turn 4 is such a crucial turn that I just can't see this card being great. You've already burned so many of your resources too before turn 4 that I just can't see this card seeing play. 1 star.
Yeah, same thing. I agree with you completely. The reason why the 2 mana was good was because you had more.
Yeah.
So this card on turn 4 is going to have less targets, and it has a worse body for the mana cost for the same effect. It's pretty shitty. I'll never play it. 1 star.
I'll give it 2 stars. It's not that bad, but it's pretty bad.
Ticket Sculper. 4 mana, 5/2, overkill, draw 2, pirate.
It's a 5/3.
Oh, sorry, 5/3. Sorry, I'm really tired. I'm really ready to go to sleep.
Almost done. We got like a dozen.
Yeah. This is really good off captain.
Yeah.
I think this card's okay, but without rush or anything, I think people just kill it and then you're sad. So I actually don't think it'll see constructed play unless captain becomes good. If captain becomes good, I could see this card being good. Because this is a powerful effect on a decent body. I just think it's too easy for the enemy to kill it.
What's your rating on it?
5, because it's really good with captain. Actually 6, because it's really good with captain.
Wow, 6. Alright. I'm gonna give this card a 4 because a 4 mana 5/3 is pretty bad. And it'll probably die 90% of the time before you get the overkill. So the only way it's good is if it gets triggered off of a random minion that I rated even lower than that. So 4 is good enough, and I would give it 4 because it draws 2 cards, and anything that has potential to draw cards earns points for me because cards are the best thing you get.
I'm gonna split the difference and call this card a 5. This card is really powerful if you can ever give it rush, and you can do that both with the Pirate Legendary, which I think is the less good of the 2 ways that you can do it. The 1/3 weapon that has Death Rattle give a minion rush, or your minions have rush, is the best way I see this card being good. Because at 5 attack, if you give it cards, at that point, this is a real card. 4 mana, 5/3. Rush, overkill, draw 2 cards. I would play that card probably.
A lot.
I don't know. Maybe. It depends on what the deck's trying to do, right? I mean, maybe I don't want to draw 2 cards. Maybe I'm a tempo deck and I just killed my 5/3. I don't know. I'll give it a 5 because I think it's actually decent with rush, and we have a couple ways to give it rush.
Alright. Arena Treasure Chest. 4 mana, 0/4, Death Rattle, draw 2 cards.
Oh god.
Worst card in the set. 1 star. That's it.
I give it. It draws 2 cards, Death Rattle, and that's abusable.
Alright.
If it wasn't 4 mana, it would actually be okay.
Are you about to seriously rate this more than 1?
What was that?
Are you about to rate this more than 1?
Yeah, I'm gonna rate this a 3. I think anything that you can manipulate easily to draw 2 cards is good. That could have potential to be fine. You know what? 3. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 3. Any deck that wants to draw cards as fast as humanly possible could abuse this card. And that's where it falls in super niche situation. And I think 3 is fine enough for that.
I'm gonna vote it 2. I'm in between. I don't think the card's unplayable. I think it's really bad, but 2 cards are 2 cards.
Alright. Rumble Tusk Shaker. 4 mana, 3/2. Death Rattle, summon up at 3 mana, 3/2. So it's a 4 mana, 6/4 total. I don't think this card's very good. I think both sides of its body are too weak right now to contest a current board. If this was a 4 mana, 6/4, we'd be having a different conversation, but it's not. So 3 stars because it's okay. It's just not good enough currently.
I'm gonna give this 2 stars because I can't think of when I want it. Like it's fine. It has a good effect. I think it's it's dead on average for mana cost to value. It's 2 Raptors for 4 mana, but it's doesn't challenge the board well because it's a 3/2 on 4, and it has very little synergy that you want to take advantage of. So
I'd be curious to see if the 3/2 that it summons is beast or not. Probably not, since this one's not. I think it's hilarious that this card exists and they gave Druid a class specific card that does the same thing, but also gives a minion +2/+4. I'm gonna go with this
Anton?
card 2 out of 4 because honestly, I don't even think its stat line is very good.
2 out of 4?
Or, I'm sorry, I keep looking at the total health when I'm reading the cards and saying that. I'm getting tired as well. 2 out of 10. I
Alright,
was evaluating this card at a 6/4.
alright. Regenerating Thug. 4 mana, 3/5. At the start of your turn, restore 2 health to this minion, so it has to survive till your next turn. I just don't think this is a good card. I'll give it 2 because it's better than a lot of the 1 mana cards, or the 1 cards. But really, this card isn't good. There's so many good 4-drops in this game right now, and this effect is just not that good. So 2 stars.
okay. You would say this card is worse than Rumble Tusk Shaker?
Remind me what that card is? I'm sorry.
The one we did before this one?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this card's better than Shaker, so I'm gonna give it a 3 because it has better stats when it comes out, and that's relevant.
Yeah, I was in the 3 camp. It has 4 mana, 3/5 stats, which are acceptable. It basically has no text, so it's not.
I mean, it's technically positive, right? Like it's
It's a good ability, kinda, yeah.
It is a positive ability, yeah.
Like, if it was a 4/6, we'd be like, oh my god.
What was a
Yeah,
4/6 for
insane.
4? It'd be insane. I think it'd be insane just because it's a 4/6 for 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Banana Buffoon. 3 mana 2/2, add 2 bananas to your hand. So basically, you get a 3 mana 4/4 worth of stats, but you get a 3 mana 2/2 that makes you spend more mana. So it's a 5 mana 4/4.
Yeah.
No. That's all I have to say. No, 1 star. Just, it doesn't do anything.
Same. It's not what you want. 1 star.
2 stars. Adds bananas to my hand for that to set auctioneer.
Alright. Ordinary
My
Tortoise.
Mechatoon deck.
3 mana, 3/5 beast. Battlecry, deal 5 to your hero. I think this is like a 3-star card, but it's actually probably worse. Apparently Tyrant likes it, so I'm just gonna let him do all the explanation.
So I like it because it's incredibly. I think it's really well statted, and a 3/5 in this meta I think is super good and an insanely good wall. Like being able to play a Tar Creeper that can attack your opponent's your aggro opponent's minions, opposed to just having to wait for them to go in, is really powerful. Being able to just play a pressure minion early, like coining this out onto, is insanely powerful. Druid has very little way to answer it properly because the Spellstone only is 2/4/6. You don't want to naturalize this. It takes an upgraded Spellstone that comes down from Warlock 2 turns after, or a turn after this played anyway. I really like this card. I don't think it really has a home, but I think it's a cool card. I love cards that trade tempo for life. I'm going to give this card a 5 because I think it's a moderate card that can go in aggressive decks or tempo decks.
I think I'm gonna rate this card a 5 as well. I was watching Just Saying recently. He seems to value like it. I kind of agreed with the statement that 1 stat on a minion was worth like maybe 4 life, maybe 5 is like kind of steep. But this is a 3 mana 3/5, so it has the same text as Tar Creeper on your opponent's on your opponent's turn. But the Beast is, I think, what really sold me on this card. 3 mana 3/5 Beast is just really, really good. In any deck that wants to abuse Beast synergy. Like, think of curving this into Houndmaster. Like, that is so freaking strong. I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 because it's just straight up overstated for its mana cost. at the cost of life, which if you're playing this in like a mid-rangey hunter deck, you're happy to sacrifice 5 life for that. I think the card's actually pretty good.
Okay, interesting. I'm very curious what the correct answer to this one's going to be. So, guys, I just want to tell you, we only have 8 cards left.
I'm excited.
It's almost bedtime.
I got food waiting for me.
Alright, Dozing Marksman. Man, stop making me want to go to sleep. 2 mana 0/4, has +4 attack will damage, so it's a 2 mana 4/4 if damaged, which really that means it's a 2 mana 4/3 when damaged. I mean, that's a good stat line, but, like, how do you damage this reasonably? Like, do you want to use that shitty weapon? No, because then you can't play it on turn 2.
So Taskmaster makes this a 6/3 on turn 3.
Yeah.
Lol.
I think this is like a 4-star card because if you can trigger it, it's super powerful. I just don't know if you can trigger it in a reasonable deck.
Yeah, I think that's one way to look at it. I think it has Warrior has ways to activate this. I don't know. Priest might be able to even do something with it. So, I'm gonna give it a 4. It has potential.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm really unimpressed by this card. There aren't nearly enough ways to enable this card in the game. Cruel Taskmaster's actually one of the only ones that I think of, besides the weapon, which is too expensive. And if we're playing this any time after turn 2, it's very likely just going to die on board, unless we enable it that turn. So I think it's pretty bad. 3 out of 10.
Cheaty Ankle Biter. 2 mana 2/1 lifesteal summon or battlecry deal 1. So you get you get 1 life from the lifesteal. I think as long as Kalasath exists, this card is pretty bad. I could see post-rotation people talking about this versus Plated Beetle, but I think Plated Beetle is just a better card than this.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of better anti-aggro stuff like the 1/4 we were looking at earlier, so I think this is a 2-star card because it's actually a good card. It's just, there's so much better.
Like it's fine because it's lifesteal, but I would have rather have. We've had 2 minions that were 3 mana 2/1s that dealt 2.
Yeah.
And neither of those were viable. So I don't think a 2 mana 2/1 that deals 1 is good enough. So I'm going to give it 2, but it does have lifesteal, so it's not poorly statted. It's just bad.
Yep. I'm in the 2-star camp as well. It's not bad enough fun, it's not playable.
Alright. Sharkfin Fan, 2 mana 2/2. After your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 pirate. Well, this is obviously like really good in even rogue because you go dagger, Sharkfin. That's really good. That's a 2 mana 3/3. I think this card's okay. Because it's an even cost, I don't know when you play it though. Like, if you look at Miracle Rogue right now, like, it has a dagger on 2, and then it wants to play a 3 on 3. So like, when do you play this card? No other class really uses this easily, so it's only even rogue that comes to my mind, and that deck doesn't really work. I think this is a 5-star card because it's a really good card, it just doesn't have any sort of home.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I'm going to give it a 6 because if it has a home, it's actually like constructed playable.
I'm gonna go with a 5 as well. At first glance, and with now having seen every set, like, I'm not sure there's enough synergy to, justify putting or making your hero power 1 or putting a 1 mana weapon in your deck to synergize with this card. Like what you were saying earlier, I just don't think the pirates are good enough. This is definitely a 2-drop pirate for sure, though. Like, this is better than Bloodsoul Raider, I think.
You do have the 1 mana rogue weapon, so you don't even have to be even rogue. You can mana rogue.
No, yeah, totally. I just am not sure if I would play it. It's hard. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because I'm not immediately sold that this card has a home, but it's definitely good.
Yeah.
Alright, Scarabag. 2 mana 0/2, Death Row summon 3 1/1s. I mean, I think...
Scarabs.
Does that matter?
Traditionally, Scarabs are beasts.
Oh, okay. So, I think this card is okay. My thought is there are good enablers, but my real thought is this isn't Nubarian Egg, but if we actually want to build Egg Zoo, this plus the Devilsaur Egg seems kind of good, right?
Yeah, this egg's okay. Like,
So
it's not bad.
I don't think this is anywhere near playable in Death Rattle Hunter currently, but I think if you're going to play Death Rattle Zoo, I think this card might be good enough, but then you have to have the Kelliseth talk, and that's a tough one. But if
Yeah, I mean,
if we think the 2-drops that we get are better than Kelliseth, then yeah, I think this is good.
yeah, I don't think they are, but I mean, and talking about what was your rating for it?
Oh, I'll go 6.
Okay. I think this card actually has a good chance being in Zoo after Kelliseth. I
Yeah,
don't think it has a chance before that, but like, this is especially with the new 1-mana card that destroy a minion, give your minions +1/+1. Ability like this encourages the deck to go wide, and that's a bonus for it. So I like this card for Zoo in the future. I don't know if it'll be good, but it has potential, so I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah, it's pretty well statted. Obviously, it has Death Rattle synergy, and yeah, I think assuming it works in the right order to pop this thing and then +1/+1 the team, then yeah, that would be extremely strong. I think I'm going to give it a 5 as well. Because it's not going to be a shoe into those style of decks, and it's certainly not going to be good enough until Kelliseth rotates. But once it does, it'll be good. It's also not bad, yeah, alongside like the 1-mana card that kills a minion, gets +2/+2. Like that plus this is pretty big tempo swing too.
Yeah.
Alright. Spellzerker. 2-mana, 2/3. Has spell damage plus 2 while damaged. Because it costs 2, I don't hate this card. Because sometimes it can be really hard to kill this card. Like, it's very easy to make this a 2/1 that has +2 spell damage. But I think I'd rather just play like Thalnos or something that gives me spell damage. I think this is like a 4-star card though. Like, it's an actually good card. I'm just not convinced that like it ever's gonna have a home, especially with cards like Thalnos.
This reminds me a lot of Amani Berserker.
Yes.
It's a well-statted minion that punishes the opponent for letting this card value trade. So I'm gonna give it a 5 because it reminds me of Amani, and Amani is actually playable still to this day. So I think this card has potential, but it is worse than Amani. It needs more build around mechanics.
I'm gonna give this card 5. I think. The only reason I think it's so hard. I'm gonna give it a 5 because I think there's actually decks that want to play Blood Mage Thalnos for its spell damage, but can't because it's bad as a fatigue card, and this like replaces it in that very very niche instance.
Why wouldn't you just play Tainted Zealot?
Exactly, Tainted Zealot comes to mind. 2 is more than 1.
Guaranteed is also a thing though. It's interesting.
I was thinking specifically for this card in like Warrior, with like Whirlwind and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, card's not super impressive. I'm gonna stick with a 5. 5 because it's almost maybe playable. Yeah.
Alright.
It's a 2-mana 2/3. It can only be so bad.
Serenite Taskmaster. 1-mana 2/3 Death Rattle summon an 0/3 free agent with taunt for your opponent. I think this is like an 8-star card. I think it's a good anti-aggro 1-drop. And it's also good against combo decks. It screws up Hadronox specifically. It also just puts something in play against like Shutterwalk, which could be awkward. So I think this is just a really good anti-aggro card that has potential to screw up other combo decks, so I love it. I think it's 8 stars.
I actually think the opposite. I think it's good for aggro and not anti-aggro, because the only way to get value of this card against aggro is to put it into their minions, and then you just gave them a taunt that is more attack or more health than this minion's attack, so it's going to take 2 swings to get through. And assuming that you're the control deck and they're the aggro deck, you're going to make dudes slower than them, so that's really bad.
Yeah.
I think this is actually pretty good in an aggro deck. Like, I'm going to give this a 7 because of aggro decks, because if you play this, coin another 1-drop, you've now guaranteed that you can get through their 0-3, and it's likely that your opponent's not going to have anything to do about it.
That's a
If they're
good
control
point.
decks.
I could see it in aggro.
Yeah, I think it has way more potential in aggro than anything.
I think this is an absurdly powerful card, as all 1-mana 2/3s that have ever been printed in Hearthstone have been. I initially thought that the effect was actually a battle cry, not a battle. Pros and cons to each one based on what you're trying to do, actually. I think it's actually much better most of the time as a death rattle. Way more powerful because you get to hedge your board position. Like this, I think aggro wants this card super hard, and the death rattle doesn't really matter too much against aggro. It basically heals them for 3, but you don't care as long as you get board presence, which brings me to my next point. If board presence was more relevant right now, then this card would be a lot better. But right now we have Prince Keliseth, where you don't need to trade up on their 2-drop to win the game. There aren't 2-drops being played right now. So this card was much like 1-mana 2/3s have historically been really good, like in metas where Knife Juggler was pretty nerfed and really strong. Trading up on like Mad Scientist, like I think this card is really good in a meta where there's lots of 2-drops, and we're not in that meta right now. We're in Keliseth meta. I'm gonna rate this card 8 out of 10 because once Keliseth is gone, this card is like shoe-in probably in every deck in the game. Like it's really just super good in anything that isn't a control deck. And honestly, the 0/3 spawning for your opponent is actually kind of funny because I think it's actually sweet because it dilutes the Hadronox pool and the Resurrection Priest pool, so it has somewhat of a head nod of disruption to those decks as well. So in addition to being a 1-mana 2/3, it has upside in certain matchups. So I'm gonna give it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Really cool card though.
Garabashi Chicken. It's so this card is literally the same card as Angry Chicken, and because if Angry Chicken is going to enrage, it has to have more health. So actually, this is just strictly worse than Angry Chicken.
Uh-huh.
Well, that answers that. 1 star.
I want to give it 2 stars because it has an axe on its face, and I have to give it 1 star because I'm competitive.
Yeah, kids are going to type in Beast. They're going to be searching Beast in the Hearthstone database. They're going to see Angry Chicken. They're going to flip the page, see Garabashi Chicken. They're going to go, wow, Angry Chicken is such a good card. Like, look at how bad this card is.
All right.
40 dust to craft that, though.
I'm legit going to give this card a 1 out of 10.
Alright, the last card, boys. I'm so proud of us. Before we get into this, we've, just so everyone understands, this was recorded over 2 sessions. We took about an hour and a half break after the mage cards because I had to go out to supper with people. Then we came back into this. We've been recording for over 7 hours today. I hate my life. I probably should have been studying. It's exam time.
Woo, content! Let's go!
So, helpless hatchling, and I feel very helpless. 1 mana 1/1 beast. Death rattle. Reduce the cost of a beast in your hand by 1. I've seen people say that this card is good. I think you're whack. This card is okay. I don't want to play a 1 mana 1/1 just to make something else in my hand better. The cost of putting this in your deck is a card. And it's not worth the card in my opinion. I think this is like a 3 out of 10 only because it's a 1 mana beast and it synergizes with Crackling Razormaw.
Yeah, for that reason, I'm actually going to give it a 4 because its stats are fine. It technically increases your tempo potential once it dies. The only deck this goes in ever is a budget aggressive Beast Hunter.
Budget.
Yeah.
We don't talk about those.
Well, you know what? They think they need love too, and
Okay.
they're glad to know that Tyrant has given Helpless Hatchling the stamp of approval of worth your 20 dust.
Wait, how much does it cost to make a comment? 40?
It costs 20 to make it, and you get 5 for disenchanting it. I think.
Okay,
That sounds
I
right.
think. I could be wrong.
that would make sense with the ratio.
This
Okay.
is the last card. What did you guys rate this card exactly?
I went 3.
I gave it a 4.
I am going to give this card a 1.
End it with a
And that
bang.
and that is because that is not a beast. That is a dragon. It says beast. I don't buy it. It has wings, dude. Look at it. You can't tell me that's not a dragon.
I don't know.
It's
Flappy
a
Bird.
hatchling,
Flappy Bird had wings.
but it's like a. I don't know, man. I am disappointed by this. I will have Blizzard. No, I'm gonna send them an email.
They're gonna get my ticket.
Yeah,
In 7 weeks, they'll respond.
Yeah, exactly. Realistically, I'm gonna make this card's a 2 out of 10. I don't think it's actually gonna be in any deck. It has a death rattle, so it's ever so slightly better than some 1/1s, but not enough to justify putting this one on 1/1 in my decks.
So are we done?
That's it.
Okay.
We did it.
I'm so proud. This is our
Oh!
first Team Rankstar Hearthstone set review. And it was
It's been a learning experience.
a little bit miserable for the last little while. Won't lie. But this wasn't too bad. I definitely find it interesting that we all kind of disagree on a lot of cards. And like
Yeah.
that makes it interesting. And then we all kind of agreed on like the 10s, which is fun. I'm
Some
really
cards were just clearly insane.
I'm really excited for this set. I think a lot of the cards are really cool. I don't know how much they'll affect constructed now, but post rotation they definitely will. So as weird as it sounds, I'm now more excited for April and rotation than anything else.
Can I steal you guys for like 3 more minutes before we call it? I know.
Right,
I
like
think it would be really cool to note. What is your favorite card of the set? GHP go.
give me a second to go find the name.
Roughly the same as mine.
Are we all right? Let's make a rule. Nobody is allowed to take the dragon card.
That's fair.
Because I think it's everyone's secret favorite. So I gotta.
No, that's not my favorite.
Oh, but I'm about to steal it then. My favorite card in this set is Haunted Visions. It's Haunting Visions.
You are stealing my favorite card?
I'll pick a second one. You already told me it was that. Let's see. This is actually difficult. Oh, Mass Hysteria.
That's a good one.
That's my favorite. I think it's just a really interesting card. I wish I knew how it worked.
Right?
Alright, Tyrant, what's your favorite?
Mojo Master. I'm gonna say his name's Zihi because that sounds so much more fun to say. Mojo Master is the one of the most interesting effects I've ever seen in Hearthstone. It throws so many wrenches into so many plans, but it only delays. It doesn't full stop combo. I think it's super fair, super interesting, and I want to test it so bad.
And as previously stated, my favorite card from the set is Haunting Visions. If I had to pick another card since GHP and I both really like the card, a really close second for me actually, because I am super giddy about this card too, is High Priest to call. I think it really is like so much more insane than people think it is to turn all your health into armor. And so unique. What a unique card.
Cool.
Alright, well that's it. I'm going to bed. Good night. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and hopefully you enjoy Rastakhan's Rumble. Thanks for joining me, guys.
No problem. Take care.
Later.